Okay, so welcome. We have a few new people. We have a couple regulars, and we are just gonna get started. For those that are new, this is a space. It's a friendly space for regenpreneurs, and you don't have to be you don't even have to have an entrepreneurial business at this point. It could be an idea. You could be thinking of it. You could be doing a side hustle. Wherever you're at, you're welcome. And we want you here to share in that journey with us. And we want to be able to support you as well. And so we only ask that you do the same for others, and you come here to show up and be present and really truly try to help one another as we go through our regenpreneur lifestyles and work. So this is not well, I should say this is our typical day after coming from last week, where we had a focus on someone's project, and we kind of kickstarted their launch of a 3-month project. On the off weeks that we don't do that, which is most of our weeks, we do a think tank and a group discussion. So we bring up, we start off with something that we're excited about within our business, and we share that, and we kind of popcorn style, and that could be a part of our introduction. And then we get into the challenges of our business that are present and that we're working on right now, and we bring those to the group, and we have a think tank discussion on them. And so that requires a little bit of vulnerability and openness to be able to share those and to get feedback on them. The more you're able to share, the greater we're able to help. And so really do truly hope that we're all open here, and this is the very open and forgiving group and loving group. Okay, so I'm going to get started on what I'm excited about, and I'm going to popcorn it over to Carrie. So I'm really excited because we just set our next WIG for our 3-month goal, and we do ours kind of with the moon cycles, and so kind of that space with the new moon is kind of coming into setting new intentions and bringing things up. And so we kind of set our 3-month goal based upon that. And I'm excited to say that we're kind of doing our next round of this incubator program. And so this will kind of stay the same, but we're actually going to incorporate a cohort. I'm going to be building and asking people to attend in our first beta cohort, where we go for a 3-month period, and we track and we get metrics, and we build relations with the people that we want to move those goals forward. And so it should be a really fun, enjoying process for everybody. I'm in the design phase of that right now, and I'm asking for your guys' help in one specific way. So we'll get into that a little bit more in hopefully the mastermind or think tank discussion, because I would really like to have you guys fill out this survey for me, and maybe if we can set a time to interview you guys, because you're regenpreneurs. I'm trying to create this for you, and I really want to make it the very best possible program, and affordable and open for everybody across the board. It's going to be kind of a sliding scale model. I haven't really figured on the price point. I'm really just working on what needs to be included in that. But yeah, I'm excited about it because we're really moving this forward into our next stage of this incubator program that we've been building. That's been in alpha testing mode for a while, and I haven't really pushed it beyond this. So that's what I'm excited about. Carrie, you can go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so you wanted to know what I'm excited about and what I want help with. Is that what you said? Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
I muted myself, sorry. So we'll just do the excited part. I kind of took us a little further in my own intro, but yeah, just say what you're excited about, and then popcorn it over to someone else, and then we'll go into the problem solving.
Okay, well, as you are, Josh, I am excited about the new moon. And I have actually done, I just took a month off from some things. And so I have just done kind of like a re-envisioning of my entire next year. I just went and kind of made sure I was moving in the right direction. And I'm just seeing a lot of new possibilities. Thank you for inviting me in to join the group. I think that's very kind of you, especially as I'm attempting to do something kind of along the same lines as you are. But I think that was really cool of you. But I'm just seeing a lot of new possibilities in terms of ways that I can meet people and ways that I can put things together, and in possible improvements to my living situation that will make it a lot easier for me to do what I'm trying to do with my business over the next couple of years. So that's what I'm excited about. So thank you. And I will see my participants list. And Ray is next on my list. So Ray, I'll pop it to you.
Awesome. Thank you. So what's keeping me excited? I know there's maybe Kyle. Podcast, definitely. I was interviewed on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and after the recording, I was like, God, podcasting is just so good. And I've got all the gear. I've had it for months, probably over a year now, since before COVID, actually. So I just went really deep into that and booked 8 recordings this week. 2's dropped off, so I'm down to 5, which is good. And I've got like another 3 next week. So I like doing things in batches. So I've just like batch recorded. That'll give me like a nice full bucket of recordings. And thanks, man. So that'll be launching the first week of August. It's called Secrets of the Soil. And we just get our hands dirty, our minds dirty, and talk about soil. So it's quite fun. Some really good guests so far, and good conversations, and super excited to share that content. So that's what's keeping me excited. And we also launched our Soil Learning Center platform rebranding saga. So that's exciting as well, as much as it's exhausting, joining all the dots and finding all the broken links and dealing with server load issues and things like that. So, but if you don't hit the publish button, nothing ever happens. So it's been good. And I'll popcorn over to Kyle.
Thanks, Ray. That's a really awesome update. Can't wait to listen to the recordings. Recently, I've been incredibly focused on my work at Slow Money. We're gearing up to have our second pitch event called Food Funded Climate. And we've spent the last couple of weeks evaluating and selecting 10 early stage entrepreneurs whose business models make a traceable, quantifiable impact on climate. A lot of them seem to be focused on food waste and environmental waste. Anyway, that's been keeping me really motivated and excited. So we're doing that next Tuesday. So I will send it over to Michelle, assuming you haven't gone.
Well, thank you for having me. That sounds awesome. I appreciate what Ray had to say, because I live on a farm, and to see the soil being depleted, it's my parents' farm, and so it's kind of sad. But I am excited. I am working on a regenerative leadership workshop that actually is feels like it's bringing together everything I've worked on in my own business for the last 5 years around reconnecting to ourselves, to others, and earth. And it's just all coming together now. So I'm excited to be developing that. And then I have a little bit of fear around how that's going to be greeted, because I work in a very white male dominated field that really just doesn't want to move past the status quo. So it's going to be a challenge. And let's see. I will pass it to, let's see who was after me. Well, let's see. Josh, you did yours already. Kyle, Carrie. I have Carrie next. Oh no, Carrie went already. Claire.
Hey, thank you. Yes, I'm not going to look at the screen just because it might be dangerous. but I'm very excited. I'm doing a lot of art at the moment and also a lot of networking. I'm planning a trip to the UK and to Europe, and it required me to kind of fine tune a couple of sentences that sort of explain my understanding of what I'm doing in the world, so that people can book me for talks and presentations that have an artistic kind of feel and approach to them. And I feel really, really good about that. It's nice to kind of synthesize the different parts of my skill set and focus into one human. So that's the deal with me. And I'm enjoying working on the Regen NFT art auction, both as an artist, but also they've got me on the Wisdom Council, which as a Brit, that's a rather dubious title. But anyway, that's what it is. So I am going to ask Josh to please popcorn to the next person. Otherwise, there's no way I'm going to see who's here driving.
I don't want you doing that in the. Would it be safe for you? So, Sharon, if you're welcome to share. I know you were just kind of dropping in and listening. I know you're with your children as well and attending to them. So, want you to stay present where you're at. But if you're listening in, you're welcome to hop in for just a moment and share something you're excited about, or we can just move on with the rest of the discussion where we talk about our challenges. I'll give you just a moment to hop in if you'd like to. Okay, Sharon. Yeah, feel free to hop in whenever, and we will just move on to the next portion where we chat about our challenges and work through them together. And so this is the vulnerable part. I'm going to leave it open to the floor. Before I actually leave it open to the floor, I do want to just, I posted that link and I'll post it again just in case someone hopped in later. I'm not sure. I think Kyle, you hopped in after I posted that. But I would really appreciate it. And here's my ask for today. If you guys could fill this out for me as a regenpreneur, as someone that's creating change, regenerative change through your entrepreneurial endeavors, whether they're for-profit or nonprofit. I really do truly want to know and get an understanding of the challenges and frustrations that you have along your regenpreneur journey. So please answer that, go through. There's a couple other questions beyond that, but really the main question there is an open-ended question. And if you can be as detailed as possible, it would be really, really, truly helpful to me, because I'm trying to get language to be able to describe the challenges as well as really, truly understand them. So I may understand them to some extent, but I say them in my own words and I have my own filter on things. And so I want to get your guys's feedback and filter there. And then if we possibly can, I would like to have an interview personally with each of you and talk more about why you answered the way you did, dive a little bit more into maybe the magical wand question, which I love to ask, which is what if you were to wave a magical wand, what would be the best solution for you to kickstart your business or to move your business to the next stage? And so you can help me to define what this product is going to be coming up here in the next little bit, and really truly work with me on it. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, if you have anything to say to me on that regard, I would love your kind of feedback. I know Ray helped me initially. He was one of the first people that I had answer this and kind of go through it with me, and he gave me some feedback just on the survey. I'm kind of landed on having that survey be what it is for this moment, but the next iteration or whatever, I'm always welcome to. I'm always looking for feedback on this, because I do this every time there's a pivotal moment in my business. I go in and I have an interview process and a study of the market before I make big design changes. And with that, I will open it up to other challenges or things that we're working on that we can get feedback on. Who's going to be that first person?
I don't know if I have any challenges at the moment, Josh.
What are you working on?
Too much. But I think, I don't know, because I came across this website the other day called Stewart. I don't know if Carl knows it. It's kind of like Kickstarter, but it's like Stewart of the land. It's, yeah, and it's like there was heaps of projects on there that had been funded by private investors. They're like a private bank. Um, and I really, someone on a podcast introduced me to it, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, where they're like other people's money, you know, like breaking that mold of thinking that if we need to get access to money as farmers or regenpreneurs, that we have to go through the traditional business and finance system, but that's not very true. And then Kyle mentioned before about slow money. And then there's also people who can start up GoFundMe pages or, you know, start Patreons and things like that. So it's, I guess, yeah, I guess my challenge is like, which one of these platforms do you dabble in or you utilize in order to excel the business? Because we always come, you know, from the mindset of like bootstrapping and doing it with our own raised funding. But then I see so many other people take advantage, I guess, of raised capital and seed rounding of funding and get they move fast really quickly. And I know the last couple of weeks there's been a couple of investor type of pitches trying to raise capital, and I don't know if it's just a matter of putting a pitch together and pitching it, or whether these investors, that's why I kind of asked that loaded question last week, where it's like, what do investors actually look for? You know, do we need to be stronger on the team? Do we need to be stronger on the product? Do they want to see scalability? Do they just want to buy the technology? Like, is it in the digital asset? You know, I guess I struggle with which gear I need to focus on to make the business the most valuable. So yeah, so that's kind of, you know, I know probably that should be framed more to an investor, but I think, I don't know how to get started on like getting the first round of money into the business in order to set it up to explode, because we've got heaps of ideas and we've got a very motivated team, you know, so we've got all the moving parts. It's just now about like amplifying that, scaling it up. So I don't want to go down the path of traditional banking lending, because to me right now it feels like the whole banking sector is about to crumble. Here in Melbourne, we're in our 5th lockdown, which started last night, and we had 7 hours notice. So, you know, we can't even plan forward anything. Trips are being cancelled, people, you know, stuck everywhere. So everything feels upside down. So for me, I just want to live in this bubble and build the business and focus on that. So, but cash flow is always an issue, and a lot of our projects get halted because it's like we run out of runway, you know. So how to solve that problem is probably one thing, but yeah, maybe hanging out more with investors, or maybe we have a theme in a couple of weeks where it's all about the investment and, you know, what an ideal pitch looks like, and yeah, templates, things like that, you know. Yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think we haven't necessarily done a dedicated investment conversation within here. I think it would be good to do that. Anybody else interested in something like that? Okay, so we got a few of us. I know, well, Kyle obviously is probably up for that, and Carrie as well, as she kind of builds out an incubator space, wants to be more engaged with investors and have that type of conversation as well. I definitely am in that space, trying to build relationships with investors. I've been in that space more. I need to be more involved, probably, as we build out this incubator program. And so it'd be a really good conversation to have. We probably want to give it a little bit of time to be able to generate some interest for it and see who else is interested in doing something like that. But I would say, if I'm going to look at a calendar here. I'm also still working on the move to Panama, so it's kind of, we're thinking late September. So our passports are coming in a couple of weeks. US is so crazy inundated with passports right now that it's taken us like 12 weeks or more to get passports here. It's crazy.
Is that because people are wanting to leave?
Yeah, it's because we're opening up, and we didn't have. I think we closed Passport, the division, and we downsized it for a little while, and then now it just opened up and exploded, and they can't handle anything. So smart on the federal side of things to run things like that, but it is what it is.
We can't even go anywhere because flights to like Europe are $20,000-$30,000.
What?
There's one flight a week and it's got 6 passengers on there. Like we literally, like, I don't know if people realize, but in Australia right now, we're such a big place, landmass, but we are actually trapped here. Like they just closed the airways to New Zealand over the next 3 days. So they had like a safety bubble where you're allowed to go to New Zealand, which is only over the ditch. Yeah, as of last night, travel bubble has been suspended. So they're even talking about needing, like vax passports to cross interstate borders. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That's another world. And I was like, oh, Australia is doing so well handling it, but it's almost on the complete other side of things. Like there's no COVID really there, but you guys are locked down, and the economic challenges are starting to occur. And
yeah, it's a bit worrying because massive, like Australia relies a lot on international students. The farmers, the government pays the farmers to hire international students to extend their visas so they can stay in the country longer. And all that's gone. So farmers have got no pickers because they're the only people who would go and pick because they had to in order to extend their visa stays. Farmers are going, how the hell am I going to pick this produce? Like no one here. They even tried to do a campaign where it's like you take in a gap year in Australia. If you take a break between a high school or university, we call it a gap year. And they say, instead of doing a gap year, do a pick year and go travel around Australia and pick for farmers and things like that. But why would you go work and pick on a farm when you can get access to welfare payments and sit at home? So it's really weird. It's quite hard to know what's going to happen in the future and where to put your focus on, because you kind of feel like everything you do is it a waste. But that's why we just focus on the soil and know that the soil will always be here. So and yeah, the prepper movement in Australia has completely exploded. People are prepping left, right, and center. People are lining up to order bunkers. People are like putting like prepper plans together, taking money out of banks and converting it to gold and things like that. So, but we don't have guns. We can't armor ourselves. Guns are illegal. So people, the other day I saw, I know it's a bit off topic, but the people are running workshops for like $120 to learn how to start a fire using like traditional elder stick methods, because that's like how urgent it's becoming, just to do like survival skills on like how to light a fire. So you make more money running a workshop on how to light a fire than how to build a marketing funnel or how to, scale a multi-million-dollar business, or, so it's really interesting how things are shifting. People have gone really primal and gone, how do I survive as an individual? So interesting.
It's really interesting. Very interesting.
Sourdough classes have gone through the roof, things like that. Sauerkraut, like doing fermenting, like good in a way. Like there's a silver lining to this, bringing those traditional trades back top of mind and people realizing that that's the core things that matter. But yeah, so yeah, interesting times ahead.
So I keep on hearing this, that, and the other from Australia, mostly from you, but they're like Brian. We'll talk about it. I don't know that it's been affecting Brian as much, because he's been he does a lot of work outside of Australia, right? And I know he's not traveling, but a lot of his partnerships and whatnot are doing a lot of his work. And Brian with the Climate Foundation. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see how contrast that view is if we go so far on one side to lock down and treat it, and then we get rid of COVID, but we have another problem entirely with the economy. And it's really fascinating and interesting. Yeah. So I'm thinking this conversation that we could have on investment could be done the first week of August, the first Thursday of August, which is August 5th. And let's see if we can invite others to it and bring people in. I'm gonna see if I can grab, if I can't find anybody, I really do want to have a couple investors in on that conversation, whether they're, and I'm going to try to do early stage investing, because a lot of times we get some of these conversations. I've had a couple conversations with investors within the Global Regenerative Collab and whatnot, and we get later stage, which isn't quite useful to us because they're looking at completely different problems and trying to solve and get a different type of return as well. And so let's see if I'm going to try to find a seed and possibly an angel person to come in and talk with us there. And then maybe some people that have raised money. I know Brian's raised money. I know a few others that have raised money, both on the philanthropy side as well as traditional, and some people have bootstrapped in those types of things, right? So we kind of want to mix
like
here.
what they want out of it. Like, is it shareholding? Is it money back plus X%? Like, what's the common, like as a business owner, do I need to forego shareholdings? Do I need to, is it a loan with a plus interest down the 5-year period? What happens if you don't pay it back? Does, as an entrepreneur, are we then stuck in this arrangement? Some of the moving parts that are behind the scenes as well, because I think that's where sometimes the fear comes from, because it's like, I don't know if I get around to funding from an investor, do they then now control the business? If I want to close the business down because I'm going crazy running this business, do I have that option, or do I now owe them that money? Or are they willing to forego as a part of their risk strategy? Like those kind of behind the scenes questions is where I kind of get paralyzed sometimes. And I find that I'm someone who's kind of like cluey about this stuff. And yet I still go, oh, fuck, what happens if this happens? And, oh, what about this? All the what if scenarios, death, if one of the partners dies, what happens then? Would this need to be considered in life insurance? All that kind of moving parts,
Term sheet, that's usually on your operating agreements with death and those types of things.
Like if an investor comes and says, I want to give you $1 million, but has all these criteria, is that common, or is that like rare? Am I better off getting 200K from someone else where has less of those criteria? And I feel like a lot of people who have gone down this path get burnt. And so there's a lot of lessons to be learned from those people as well. It's like, I'm all for the successful investing, but what about when it didn't go right? What went wrong? Who was at fault? I don't know, just both sides of the coin sometimes. Because, I think I've learned more when I've gone to businesses, like what not to do, bad management, corrupt corporate, hierarchy, those things in life teach me more than going to the rosy, juicy job and everything's nice and amazing. It's, sometimes it's like the horror stories, we can learn a lot from that, things to avoid. Because I don't think investors are going to say, avoid a contract where I become your number one controller and I can take your business over, like what Elon Musk did, kick the original founders out and called Tesla his own.
Typically early stage, what you're saying right there, early stage angels and Kyle could probably answer this as well. You don't give them voting rights. They don't really have control in those types of things. They usually, and Kyle could probably talk more to cap tables and whatnot, but that's really what you kind of want to be aware of, is if you're, for later rounds of investment, if you're messing up your capitalization on your business, it could be really, really hard for a later investor to get involved in the right way. And typically you see those takeovers like that, the really scary ones, happen when people get their later rounds of funding and they start to do management problems, or typically a sound investor wants to get a certain investment out of it. And if they know they can change the management around to get that return, they will. Right. And that's usually a later stage. It's not your friends, family, and fools, which is your like first, your angel investor type thing. Then you have an angel investor that's probably a career angel investor that's probably more looking towards things that they're passionate about. and they may want to get involved in those, but they're usually taking them on as like a partner, if that's the case, right? Or they're just looking for something that they understand really well and can be a part of, and they're not necessarily looking for the return. They're more just trying to be really close to that what's being done there, right? That's typically what I see with angel investors. And my background in understanding this is because I've had to work with a lot of what people want to be unicorns, and the wannabe unicorn is really always in this space. And I've built lots of pitch decks and those types of things for people, and even taken on rev share for early stage businesses to do their marketing. And that's really what they were asking me to do. Let's create our pitch decks. Let's get our funding models rolled out. And I learned from them essentially as they were learning and failing, and I didn't have to do it myself. But yeah, Kyle, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know you're in this space.
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of the sausage making that you're asking the right questions. I think you'll only really have to answer them when you come into the term sheet association, like with the potential investors. But I think what's more important is understanding the needs of the business and the type of financial partner you want to address those needs. Because there are a few trends to keep in mind if you talk about angel investors. Check size is increasing. The company condition and financial performance isn't really as strict in a box as it used to be. You could be pre-revenue and still developing a product or service or business model, but get the kind of money that you would see for a true early stage business in the $8 to $9 million. All that is to say, I think it's more important in thinking about the investor partner from an ethos perspective. Do they understand who you are and where you come from and why you set out to do what you do? And when you do your diligence of your financial partner, do they have the understanding of the market and the potential connections to help you overcome those challenges? That's how I would think about it first, not so much on the governance and those venture capital levers that are really defense mechanisms for them. I mean, I come from a non-dilutive investment shop, so I obviously want you to think about philanthropic investment partners, family offices, and try to stray away from VC at all costs. There are just so many financing strategies that you don't really have to go for equity. And I think that's the primary consideration, is to understand what your universe of financial resources should look like. And then because also when you think about venture capital, they're trying to spit out like 1,000 term sheets. They're not going to put a ton of thought and effort into curating it to meet your needs. And then you're going to be wrung out and spending so many hours answering a billion questions that are asked in 4 different ways that get to the same answer. So right. I hope that answers.
Yeah, no, that's good.
It's helpful.
Yeah, because that's my thought is more impact money, philanthropy money, impact funds. You mentioned another one, family. I'm not sure if that's like private investing. I don't know. But okay. Yeah, that's kind of definitely want someone to like light the flame that we've got and let's be so aligned that they're doing it because they want to see it as part of their legacy and their story. So I do feel like that might be harder to find, or maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spaces.
It feels different because I'm coming from the perspective of the US financial market, not the Australian financial market. So, I would look to incubators and accelerators as one particular spot, ecosystem services type companies that bring together founders. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know like a handful of firms that invest in, like, for example, aquaculture and farm production. So happy to strategize with you if you want and be a soundboard. But
yeah, we feel more under education and digital products rather than ag tech or ag, you know, like I know a lot of people invested in like the food growing system or aquaponics and things like that, but we're more about the education side of things and community.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're asking them for referrals or references, right? Regardless of the industry association.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Josh, let's leave the other questions, you know, on this topic too, when we have some of the, you know, other people in the room. You know, I think having a theme, if you feel like it's needed, and we can send that out to a whole group of people, because yeah, I think it could
come up a few times. So I think we can definitely do a room on that, and have a focus on that.
Thanks, John.
So I will kind of set that up for the 5th of August, unless it takes me longer to kind of curate some people to be in that room and commit to being in that room. Yeah, so let's kind of table that for right now. Anybody else have any challenges or things that are coming up in their business that they want to address and chat about? Yeah, Carrie, go ahead.
I will throw this out there just because I've been kind of struggling with this for a while. I appreciate any feedback that I can get. I have some ideas about where I need to go. I'm really struggling. Like I was saying before, I want to do something along the lines of what you're doing, Josh, but I want to do it with more of like really a wellness focus, and executive wellness and corporate wellness, also strategy. That's kind of really my gift, is visionary strategy. And I'm an executive coach, and I'm having trouble getting clients, partially because I think I'm having a lack of clarity, because I need to find a specific niche for my coaching. And I think that's how I'm going to attract the people that I want to have in my incubator / accelerator, whatever it's going to be. And I'm really trying to figure out, I thought for a while that maybe I should focus on attorneys, because that would be handy for me since I'm in a small town and I don't know if there's going to be anyone else that I know that I'm going to be able to find people that I can coach through. So I'm trying to figure out really who I should focus on as my potential coaching clients to start this whole cycle of things. That's really my biggest struggle right now, is trying to focus on executive coaching clients, trying to find a niche. So if anyone has any ideas based on what I just said, or anyone wants to ask me a coaching question or anything, if there are any coaches out there, please feel free.
Claire.
Yeah, I just have a clarifying question, if that's okay. What is unique and about the coaching that you offer when you're approaching, I think I heard you say attorneys. Did I hear that right?
Yes. What do they know?
Yeah. Sorry, just let me reframe that. What do they know they're saying yes to? That's my question.
I don't have anyone saying yes.
Well, in your imagined reality where things are going the way you want and you're communicating clearly, what are they saying yes to that you're offering, that you're excited to offer, that you know you're good at? Be as specific as possible.
What I know that they need is not the same thing that they think that they need. What I know that they need is anxiety and mental wellness and health and wellness. What they feel like they need is they're not getting enough sleep. They can't get the case loop out of their head. They can't stop thinking about their case that's aggravating them. They can't sleep. They don't have enough time to do anything else. They're frustrated. They're having trouble remembering things because they're stressed out. And they need the health and wellness support. They need the mental wellness support. They need support in setting boundaries to make sure that they get the things done that they need to do. in the right amount of time and make sure that the people around them are aware of these boundaries, so that they can have focused work time, so they're not constantly getting interrupted and working all weekend, every weekend, and never having any free time, and they're miserable. That's what I'm hearing from, people in the industry, and that's what I can help people solve.
At the risk of asking things that might be already complete, does your website articulate that as clearly as you just did?
No, I'm sure it doesn't, because I don't actually have anything specifically marketed toward attorneys yet. Just because I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to do it. I know attorneys can be, I live with one, they can be very difficult, and they don't want help, and they are, they're very not coachable all the time. So that's kind of a concern of mine.
But even if it's not geared directly towards attorneys, because that would be a very specialized business, just your website itself for whoever might be able to benefit from what you offer. Are you happy with it? Do you feel like it's saying everything it needs to say to help people say yes to you?
Right now, it's still kind of focused on founders, and it's focused on basically letting me take some of the weight off of their shoulders, let them do all the things that they are good at and imagine and dream and, vision their things, and then let us help with them put other stuff together. So no, I would say not. I just kind of threw it together because I didn't know which direction I was going.
Michelle, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so as you were describing that, like you told the whole story. You just told the whole story of how they're going to respond to you or whatever. And the question that came to mind for me was like right back, well, how's that working for you? Oh, you mean it's not working for you? Oh, okay. So, it kind of throws it back at them to be like, well, how's that working for you right now? How are those beliefs about not doing self-care? How's that working for you? But then also the other thing that came to mind for me is because you had like, they're going to say this, I'm going to say this, then they're going to say this, then I'm going to say this, and you have the whole pattern right there. So I'm wondering if you could paint a picture that's like, is this you? Like, I'm not getting any sleep, but I don't want to take, I don't know, some kind of visual that shows them like, well, if you don't sleep, then you don't have, your mind is half gone. Like maybe you take a brain or something and like, okay, you're not getting any sleep, erase half your brain, and then you're not eating well. Oh, well, there's half your body. And then you're not, okay, now you have nothing left and you think you're going to keep working on that. How's that working for you? That, I don't know, that visual came to mind for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Thank you.
And logically, I think we all see that, right? And I think logically they see that as well, right? The unfortunate thing that logic doesn't necessarily help us to make decisions on whether or not we should hire a coach. It's the emotional side of it, right? I wanted to just bring this, and it's been brought up in other conversations before as well, and it's the reason why I gave you the link to fill out information about what your challenges are. And if it's what the first question I'm going to ask you, Carrie, is what do you really truly want to be serving lawyers, right? Because you kind of put up that hesitation there for a little bit. And what really lights your fire? Because when you come across in your messaging, you're going to want to be able to hit them on an emotional level. And you can't do that if you don't really want to do it if there's no passion there for it. So I think that that's the first thing. We can often let the tail wag the dog in a lot of ways when we go try to find our ideal client, and we say, oh well, the market fits this, or my skill set fits this as well. And but we really need to think about kind of the hedgehog concept that Jim Collins brings up, which is making sure that you have a clear passion that resonates with your superpower, and it also generates a profit for you, right? And so there's finding those three is going to be really critical. But then as you look to create messaging that resonates with someone, then that's when you really do want to dive in and understand what they're saying and how they're saying it. Because if I were to go in and I were to say, have this conversation, and you want to have the hypothetical definitely right up front. Like, what do I know about this? What do I personally know about this client, and what do I think they're saying, or in their heads? But then we really want them to say it out loud to us, and be able to verify that enough times to say, yeah, this is my messaging. They say it, not me. It's not coming from my lens or filter. And so if you're going to go the lawyer route, start talking to lawyers and just talk to them and see what they want. And then just do it for the sake of research. And so it releases the sales side of things, right? Releases the sale mentality, or we have our sales goggles on and I have to close them, right? But then we open it up and say, I'm really just truly trying to understand. And you come from that perspective and you're trying to solve their problems. They'll open up and share those problems. They're going to say the same things that you're saying essentially, but they're going to say it in their ways. And they're going to probably start out with the case that they're working on right now. I'm just overstressed. I'm blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to go dive deeper, but you're going to get it from their words of how they would actually say, I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not doing this. And then you can bring it up in that same way for that next client, right? And be able to bring them in and close the deal in that way. That's typically the way I've built most of my messaging in almost every single business. And I continue to do that. And it's just good practice all around to be able to just have real tangible conversations and interviews with them, record them, transcribe them, get the messaging from those, and then start building it. But really, it does truly start with, do you want to be working in that? Are you passionate enough to do that long term? Ray, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm not passionate enough to do that long term. I know that up front. But I do need some practice. And I'm not very skilled at asking people to have those interviews. I've had horrible luck doing that so far. Terrible. So that's kind of why I'm still kind of stuck in limbo. But
so
I don't know.
I've just got a couple of points I've been writing here. So I've worked in many coaching businesses and seen a lot of different frameworks and so forth. Now, one of the things that popped into my mind is the whole analogy that people use with like a hole in a drill. People don't necessarily want to buy a drill, they just want a hole. And what you were talking about before is like, I'm not sure whether a lot of people will be self-aware enough to go, yes, I need my mental health, or I need to set boundaries. I don't think many people wake up and go, that's it, today I'm going to set boundaries. So what they do is they wake up and go, God, this person pissed me off, and God, this is really keeping me up at night. So just, I don't necessarily think you need to give people the secret sauce when you first meet them. No one wants to know what they're not doing right and all the remedies. And I know you're explaining in a quick version now to us, so we get a sense of what you're doing. But I think that onboarding and that first interaction with people is really important. The other thing that I wanted to highlight was this analogy that I use a lot as well is in 2021, we have this unique ability to build things with people. Like that old saying of like, build Rome and they will come is complete BS now in 2021. We build the community, we build Rome together. You want it red, you want it yellow, let's vote. Okay, we're going with orange. Like, we can build things on the fly, just in time, on demand. We live in a very different world. So building this program with a group of people as a beta or a beta, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but as a test case, drop your guard. Hey, everyone, I'm no expert. You know what? I've got empathy. Live with an attorney. Perfect story. Together, we're going to build a program that's going to help you get through the, what you're struggling with. I don't know what this program looks like. Drop your guard of having it to be perfect and build it with them. I did this with a podcasting course once. It's like I grabbed 7 people and we built the runway as the plane was taking off. And so I feel like in the tech world, we go to a sales page and we see that there's a 12-week program. What we don't know is that they've only created week 1 and week 2. So we go on the internet and see all this stuff and go, God, how does everyone have a 12-week program and a 6-step success formula? That's all bullshit. They've got one and they're going to build step 2 the next week and step 3 the week after and step 4 the week after that. So it doesn't need to be perfect. I think doing something to help these people is magical and something that you kind of need to focus on. And I think your link to this being empathy and something that you live with is your secret sauce, is your nugget. And the other thing is digging deeper to why people are doing it. No one's ever, I don't know an analogy with your side of things, but I know a story once with another coaching business where it's like speaking to a website client, say, why do you want a website? Because I want to do SEO. Why do you want to do SEO? Oh, because I want more people on the website. Okay, so why do you want more visitors to the website? Well, because I know that all my competitors are getting leads and also you just mentioned leads. So why do you want more leads? Well, because I want to make more money. Okay, well, why do you want to make more money? Look, to be honest, I'm going to sell the business in 3 years. Oh, so really the SEO doesn't matter how good or bad it is. You want to build a digital asset that is valuable so you can sell. So now the problem we're trying to solve is let's build this business to sell. So going to an SEO agency to get SEO could tick the box of today, but doesn't fix the problem of tomorrow. So that's a journey that people will naturally have to go there. And until you kind of like dig deeper and deeper and deeper on that why question, and you just keep asking why until there's awkward silence. And it is hard, but it's a good way of getting to people's, people will open up. They'll be like, do you know what? My marriage is on the verge of breakdown if I don't fix this. So now you're a marriage counselor, so, but you're not positioning yourself as that, but you need to know that within your framework, there is relationships and marriage and family unit, and that people are never going to meet you on the first interaction and go, look, my marriage is breaking down. I think I need coaching, mental health, boundaries. No one's going to operate like that. So those are the 3 things that were popping into my mind as everyone was chatting. Hopefully they kind of help you, but I really just want to give you permission to publish rough without the framework worked out and go, you know what, team, we're in this together. I don't have all the secret sauce, but I have the networks, I have the resilience, I have the brain capacity to solve these problems for all people in the room and create a safe space of 6 or 7 as a beta group and say, we're going to do this together. There is no fancy sales page. There is no funnel. There is no email marketing.
A beta group, right?
Yeah, beta.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I said beta. Beta. That's why I wasn't sure how you pronounce it. Yeah. So it's like a beta group, a rough version 0.1, and you put your guard down and say, look, I'm roughing this and you're the early adopters of this program. Together, we're going to create it. And then they have buy-in. They're going to go and tell their other attorney friends, oh my God, I did this program that I helped create. You need to do it. You're creating salespeople subtly, Yeah, and you basically have a PayPal link and say, look, it's $97 to be in this group. Go send me money on PayPal. Don't make it complicated. Don't get stuck on the tech. Keep it real and raw, and then create magic in that first group. And then the worksheets will sort themselves out. The questions that people ask, the lessons you need to flow on every week will kind of organically. And look, this is a lot harder than what I'm kind of articulating it. Yeah. So those couple of thoughts is like allow the runway to be built as the plane's taking off. You just need to lay the bricks a little bit quicker before the wheel gets to that point, and eventually you'll get takeoff. So hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
And Kyle recommended the business model canvas. There's the lean model canvas. Are you referring to the lean model or the longer form of it, Kyle? Because there is kind of several versions of it, really.
Yeah, I was referring to the longer form, but it doesn't. it's the only one I've used, so that was my preference, but I don't have a rhyme or reason to point one direction.
Okay, yeah, which is also a good way to visually kind of see what the model looks like, and to see. I think it's a great way to kind of fit yourself if you can find what is your passion, profit, and it's a good framework to kind of figure that out, to find where you're placing yourself in there. I totally agree with Ray. I subscribe to that. We're doing that right now. We've been in alpha test. I call this our alpha test almost every single time. Like, but we've been running this alpha test for almost 2 years. You know, like you can run them long too if you if you're willing to do it as a side hustle, or you're willing to, because where I'm making my money right now is not here. It's doing marketing work. It's doing, actually, Kara, I think we could do some really amazing marketing work for getting your messaging right for these specific people when you're ready for that as well. And that's the kind of work I'm doing right now to pay as we build out this type of incubator program, right? And so we've kind of mentioned it. Your minimum viable product at this point is your coaching services as you move towards an incubation program. But it's all, if you want to have a longer runway and you want to observe and interact, that kind of famous permaculture principle of observe and interact for a long period of time, to be able to get it in the right place and not to rush things. I think that's also true. But there's also the like, just get it out there, and you can iterate as you go, and you can move really quickly as well. It moves a lot faster than sometimes you think, right? Like you feel like you have to get it all right and be making 100 grand by in 6 months with this project that you released because you saw some dude or some gal show you how to do it before, right? After he failed miserably like 50,000 times and iterated it in a very similar way that we're talking about here. It's a lean startup model, and it works really, really well for a regenerative business model as well.
There's a whole book on the
Cool.
lean startup mythology. And their cliche use case is like Dropbox, where Dropbox didn't actually have the technology to synchronize a file from one computer to another, but that's what they'll pitch into investors. And so they just created an animation that when they put a file on one folder, it miraculously appeared in another folder, but it was all like post-production. It wasn't live. And now look at Dropbox today and every other cloud-based service. So it's, it's like, just that's kind of the mythology on the lean startup, but like start rough, start lean, start, raw. And that in that vulnerability state, more magic actually happens. There was something else that popped into my mind. Are you deflated when someone says no? Because I know you mentioned before, like you haven't got a yes yet. And I'm not sure how you are processing that internally. Like, is it bad when someone says no? Do you feel like, oh, another?
No, I an area where people generally don't want help, and they feel like they're proud and they don't want people in their business. I'm in a small town, and honestly, I hate it. But it's really hard to find people who are even coachable or who are willing to help with this kind of thing. And a lot of people they don't know anything about it. So that's kind of my biggest setback, is just really finding people to talk to. But thank you all very much for your ideas, and I will I have tried a lot of things, and a lot of things have not worked, so I'm just going again.
It's okay for things not to work. That's like getting clearer,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I used this analogy in this room before, but it's like when we learn how to walk, the first step we take, we stumble. No one's in there going, oh, look, this child's never going to walk because they haven't been able to take their first step. Like, and if we allow that to be our belief and go, no, I'm not going to walk, I'm just going to sit here because I've tried once and it didn't work, we would never walk, So it's in our humane DNA to keep giving stuff a go, and failure in this culture is kind of really badly positioned. And I embrace failure. I'm just like, hell yeah, that's another lesson learned. That's like, I've walked away from businesses, I've closed down passion projects that were going to change the world and, just sometimes you just need to see that as a lesson learned. And I call it the university of life. You know, some people go to university and pay hundreds of $1,000s to sit in a boring room and hear things that are outdated, or we can do real life, meaningful work today and fail forward and maybe have an impact. You know, you've also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people now know about your service because you were courageous enough to show up and tell your story. You know, maybe someone in the room is going to meet an attorney tomorrow who shares exactly what you've just said and go, I know someone who can help. You know, so just doing things like this, being in the right room, that's you showing up, and that's what needs to be celebrated more in our culture these days.
So I'm doing the right thing.
I have to leave in about 3 minutes. So if I subtly just disappear, it's just because I have to get ready for my podcast. So, but I've really appreciated the call and all the shares and wisdoms today.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. And Claire.
Thanks, Ray. I was going to say, because actually what you said, like I wrote down, it's something that I think I need to do too, because I do a lot of workshops around wellness, and I'm building this, like everything has come together for this regenerative leadership thing that I have now in my head. And I think I need to do exactly, like I have people who've attended 3 or 4 of my workshops. They're my ideal regenerative leadership clients. Like I already have them. And I just need to, you know, use them as my betas, I think. So thank you.
Do it. Claire, you were going to say something. You raised your hand.
I did. Thank you. I hope you can hear me over the wind. I'm sorry, I've lost track of the name of the lady who's getting input from us. Could someone remind me? Kerry, thank you so much. Kerry, I'm just noticing that 2 things I feel like I keep hearing. One is that you don't seem to like where you live, and the other is you don't really like the idea perhaps of working with attorneys, and you don't. Having 2 things like that where you're not excited feels really really hard. And I'm wondering why you maybe have or haven't reached further than your town, because the kind of work that you're proposing is non-local. You don't have to be in the same town. So I would really hope for you, for the sake of your joy and happiness and sparkle, that you stop looking to do something where you're already kind of on a downer, and ask yourself, like, who would I love to be working with, and what would I really love to be offering them, and focus on that, because it's what will lift you up. And I hate hearing how much you're kind of trying to make something the best of something that just doesn't feel like it's really making you very happy. So I would just say, look up, not down, and see what you can see on further horizons. That's all.
Thank you, Claire. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I have reached out to other people and executive coaches in different areas, and I've had some success. I'm just keeping talking to more people. Yeah. So my main issue with that is, well, yeah, we're still talking about attorneys, but I really want to be an executive coach. I really do. So, but yeah.
Entrepreneurs, they
Thank
light
you.
your fire then. Working with entrepreneurs and executives of that manner. I should say executives. It's not entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs can be completely different than an executive.
Yeah, entrepreneur, you know, multiple times over, and I always enjoy it. Just, you know, because you have to know everything, and you have to have your fingers in all the pies, and it's really exciting and frustrating, and it's kind of like a big, humongous chess game. And I don't know, I love strategy, so that's just my jam.
Yeah, I think you can do that, right? And I know it can be discouraging to get, you know, several no's on that path, but like Ray was saying, Like there's going to be, and if you have, there's always that edge that you can play as well as you move into something. If you already have client base in attorneys and it's easier for you to get that client for an attorney, there's also the attorney that is an executive, that is entrepreneurial, that is, and playing that edge as well as you move into that space. So get the beta testers, get that place. But I think it really is so, I think we overcomplicate things when it comes to getting those first clients. Your beta test your alpha test can be free. And have 2 or 3 people, and then you get testimonials, and that's your main goal. That's your give and receive off of that, is getting those testimonials, getting the voice, working out the business model and plan. And then the second round of your beta test essentially is the paid beta. And you ask them, for this X amount, and you get them involved, and you still tell them, and you're still vulnerable, and you're still open with them and saying, we're still working on this process, and here's the testimonials from this last one. Here's what we hope to accomplish in this one, right? And you keep on moving through on an iterative process. All right, so we are
Thank
coming
you.
close, and it looks like Claire had a hop off as well. Ray hopped off to do his podcast interview. As we wind up for the last few moments here, we end these think tank discussions with what we're taking away from the discussion. And even though it may have not been your challenge, I know, Michelle, you were just mentioning that Ray's work resonated with you. Then just share what's working with you, because that's usually what happens. Someone else's challenge is actually your solution, right? And working through it together. So I'm going to kind of put together what I took away from today and what I'm going to be moving forward with today's discussion. I got validation on the lean model canvas, or lean model kind of revision mode, and that's what I've been doing as we've been talking about this, and it's been a good refresher. It's always good to have other people that aren't saying the same thing, that aren't you saying similar things, to kind of help you and guide you, make you feel like you're in your right path. So I had a little bit of that today. I do feel like a constant conversation is this funding conversation, and I really do want to get that conversation right for this group. So I'm going to be spending time in that. So those are the 2 things that I'm taking away. I'm going to popcorn it over to Michelle for her to share.
Yeah, I've known this before, but when Ray was talking about I've been thinking about a beta test group, and I think it just didn't happen because I didn't feel like I had the whole package. And the fact that I don't know if it was you that said, most of the time people don't even have, Dropbox doesn't even have the product ready, but they're throwing it out there anyway. And yeah, so I have everything I need, and including some people that I think would be my betas without any problem. And then a couple of other things. Actually, your 5 hindrances back behind you on the wall, I copied those because they caught my eye. And then I liked Claire's question about what do they know they're saying yes to, is a question I kind of want to ponder a little bit with my own business. So picked up a lot of things. And just listening to Carrie's story is probably very much like mine. And I will pass it to Kyle.
Thank you. And to be clear, we're doing takeaways. Yeah, I think my main takeaway is to remind myself to be humble and consistently curious, and know that I have biases in what I'm trying to do or accomplish. And I think Ray was a huge advocate of this, but really accepting failure as a growth tool and supporting a growth mindset. But more importantly, being very decisive and not, I'm very analytical and suffer with paralysis analysis often. So all these other things coming together, recognizing that I don't know everything, that if I'm curious and I talk to people, I can support growth and broaden my understanding and continue to question or think like a scientist. What do I know, but what more importantly, what don't I know about what I know, and who can help me answer those questions. So I think that's my biggest takeaway. Carrie, I believe you have not gone.
Okay, so I think that my biggest takeaway is probably, again, going to be to do an actual alpha or beta group. And I think maybe that would be a way to get people really interested who might not otherwise be interested. Asking people straight up here is, oh yeah, well, I can help you with that. And they're like, oh no. But if I say I'm putting together a group of like-minded people who are looking for support around this, I think that might be a lot safer. And I think that might be a lot better way to get people to come together and actually participate. And so I think that's going to be a really big thing for me. And also to go ahead and just say, I've got all the tools, and no, I don't know what needs to go in the program yet, because I don't. That there's only one way to find that out. So that's really encouraging. So thanks so much to all for your input. And I will find my people that I really want to work with after some meditation. So awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see who is next here. I think everyone has gone.
Yeah. So just to kind of add to what's been said, I really did enjoy how Claire brought up what are they saying yes to? And another way to frame that, as you kind of talk, because that's something that you're still going to want to have when you're talking to them, right? As you say, as you open it up, our goal is to kind of get you to this point, right? And that's what they're saying yes to, is that piece. Another way to ask that question is, what is the transformation that you want them to see? And I really like to put that in a story of format, because when we tell a story, there's always this transformation on the other side. There's always a coming home of the hero with the fulfilled transformation or fulfilled journey, right? And if you can think of it on that way, what you really want that transformation to be for them as you're serving them, that's a great opening and a great starting place. You can start from a place of energy and passion of like, this would be amazing if I could offer this for them. And then you let them know, and you frame it when you're doing the alpha. This is what we're aiming to achieve, and I want your input on helping us to get there. I have the tools, I have the techniques and the understanding from this, that, to build your credibility from this, that, and the other, right? To have a credibility piece is great to have in there. And then let's do this together, right? So that's just kind of something that's came to mind as we're kind of closing with this, is kind of going back to that question of what are they saying yes to? What is the transformation that they're wanting to have? As we wrap up, so this process that we're going through, Kyle, you already know this, is a weekly mastermind. Carrie, you're kind of getting a sense of this now. We think tank together, we get our challenges out. There are people that have presented their project that they're working on for the next 3 months, and are working on that. And they usually come in with some form of what they're working on from that 3-month process. If you would like to present or start to gain understanding of what you're going to be working on, Carrie, it sounds like you're really close to what you want to be working on for the next 3 months as a goal to really track and have accountability for. Let's do a MOCR presentation. Let's set you up with a MOCR, and we can do it. You were on for last week, right, Carrie? With that was the MOCR presentation platform that we had with TC. So we could do that with you when we kickstart a project for you, if that's something you want to do. Michelle, we can also do that as well. I'll put in the chat my booking calendar, my calendar booking. So if you guys want to set up a time to talk about that type of presentation, getting kickstarted on that, and being more involved in our incubator program, I would love to do that. And that's it. We're done a little early. If anybody has anything else to add, welcome to add it here. And I'm also happy to answer any questions. All right.
Another great
I'm sure
session.
I'll learn more as I go.
Okay, yeah, keep on joining us. Are you part of the GRC, Michelle? Is that kind of how you came into this?
Yeah, I just got started in it and like got invited to all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna see what it is and then decide from there, you know, what to keep with and what to, you know, not to.
Awesome.
My
cool. Well,
personality, I know my personality is, if you're familiar with the Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 7. So I'm always going after the new thing, and I need to be content with what I have and dig deeper into what I have. So.
I haven't gotten into the Enneagram.
Oh, I'll get you started there.
Put it in chat and I'll give it a look, because I'm always looking at the different ones. I use the strengths test a lot of times, if you're familiar with strengths ID. Kyle, did you have something to say? You unmuted there for a sec.
Just affirming, another great session.
Cool. Awesome. It's great to have you guys. Always good to be chatting with fellow Regenpreneurs. Have a good evening, guys.